Chelsea's transfer window in January has been crazy. Enzo Fernandez is set to break the record at the most expensive signing in Premier League history, with a price tag of around £105 million. The question is, how can a Premier League team sign 23 players and spend more than £520 million in just 6 months and still stay within the financial fair play? Well, that's what we're going to explain in today's video, so let's get right into it. Ever since Todd Boehly took over as Chelsea's owner after Roman Abramovich, the club started to throw money after every performing player in Europe. Not only did they end up buying a lot of players in the summer window, they also fired Thomas Tuchel right after the new signing arrived. The Blues had already broken the former Premier League record for the most expensive January transfer, and when they had decided to buy Mudryk right in front of Arsenal's nose this year, they ended up topping that with Enzo Fernandez setting to be the most expensive player ever within that same transfer window. With the now signing of Fernandez, Chelsea's spending this January will be close to £322 million, and that's just in 1 month. It's nothing but insane, trust us. And that's going to be the same amount of money that all 20 teams in the Premier League spent in January last year combined. So, how exactly can Todd Boehly's Chelsea's team end up spending way more than the whole Premier League combined and still stay within the financial fair play rules? Well, one of the main reasons that UEFA haven't been able to push Chelsea is due to the fact that the Blues' decision is to spread the costs of the players by signing them on very long contracts. In the case of Mudryk, Chelsea ended up taking the £88 million cost and divided that over 8.5 years, and it worked out just over to $10 million per year. These transfers are solved this way solely for accounting and FFP purposes, which appears to be part of Chelsea's main strategy that they've been implementing in the last couple of windows. However, it's not only Mudryk that's been offered these kind of long-term contracts. Young players like David Fofana, Mudryk, and Gusto have all been given contracts until 2030, which is unusually long. Even if somebody were to say that these younger players are investments for the future and therefore the risk is smaller but with longer contracts, it would be hard to say the same for older players like Raheem, Sterling, and Koulibaly. Even if they were to run out their contracts, they're going to be 33 and 36 respectively when that time comes, and considering their huge salary, they might not be the easiest players to get rid of before that if their performance level were to drop. Chelsea have also bought and sold 22 players since last summer and ended up buying 23 players. Although the number of players in and out is pretty balanced, their net spending is still more than £470 million, and even if they spread that over the cost of 8 years, the total amount is so big that it becomes an anchor that'll sink the Chelsea ship. That can happen pretty fast. Chelsea are currently struggling to reach the top 4 in the Premier League, which is needed to secure the Champions League football next season. If we were to compare the price, money, and average earnings of the Champions League within the Europa League, it would have to say a lot. When Chelsea ended up winning the Champions League in 2021, that did generate them £120 million in prize money. Also, they did earn about £3 million per home game, and if you were to compare those earnings, for every pound that you make in the Europa League, you make about £4.50-ish in the Champions League. So let's just put it this way. With a really big cash flow out every year going forward, the Champions League earnings will be vital to Chelsea. Although the spending this season's have been mental, Chelsea's track record of selling players for an acceptable amount of money might also be important to keep them away from FFP penalties. UEFA are actually changing the regulations, and Chelsea's strategy has been speeding up that process. Clubs will end up being limited to 5-year contracts and are not able to sign longer deals where they can spread the cost anymore. Because when you ever think about it, the club is dominating the player's career with such long contracts, and there's no freedom of movement really. However, there is one UEFA rule that Chelsea will have to face already, and that is that clubs playing in UEFA tournaments like the Champions League can only register 3 new players in their registered squad from earlier this season. And with all these new players in blue colors, a lot of them are not even gonna get to play. At this point, you're gonna have to wonder if this was what manager Graham Potter had imagined whenever he went from Brighton to Chelsea. He left the club with a strategy of finding golden cheap players and developing them, and he arrived at a club that spent money like drunken sailors. If the Blues don't turn it around fast, you kind of have to wonder how patient Boehly is going to be with Potter. Chelsea's spending has even created a much bigger challenge at Liverpool. You should therefore check out how Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp have ended up becoming a mess in this next video. Other than that, guys, we'll see you next time.